Well, we started as a country band, when I joined the group, it was a country band. It's Buddy and Bob Montgomery, who's a successful record producer and publisher around Nashville, that I'm sure you all know. But he was in the band with Buddy, and we played country music, and I played guitar and fiddle, and and a guy named Don Guest played steel guitar and bass, and we played country music. But in early January of 1955, Elvis came through town. And he and Scotty and Bill, I'll tell you how early it was, they made $25 a piece for that show. And when we saw them, it just turned our heads around, man. The next day we started booking out, doing That's All Right Mama, Good Rockin' Tonight, Baby Let's Play House, all those good old early Elvis songs. So that's how we turned into rock and roll, and we got our first record through a guy named Eddie Crandall, who was a road manager we met, and we recorded over here at Bradley's Barn in January of 1956 it was, and we were named the Three Tunes. And actually we named ourselves the Two Tones, because we went through Oklahoma City to do our first gig, and and we bought some white pants and an orange shirt and a blue shirt, and we said, hey, we look like Two Tones, and we sang to Johnny Cash and the Tennessee Two, and we said, we'll be the Two Tones. But when it came out on the record, they called us the Three Tunes. So we didn't have anything to say about that. But that's the story of kind of how I got into rock and roll. I remember the day very well. I was just sitting in my living room, and when I didn't have anything, I didn't really consider myself a songwriter at the time, and I wasn't trying to be a songwriter, but I used to monkey around a little bit with writing songs. And it was West Texas, and the sand was blowing, something terrible outside, and that's what I remember about the afternoon. And as far as the song goes, I don't know where it came from. It just I know it took me only about 20 minutes to write it, but I'm sure glad I did. And everything came quickly. I think it was almost like just singing it, as I recall. It didn't take any time to write it. I don't know where that came from. I just, I know that robbing people with a zip gun, now, everybody else that's ever done it says six gun, but zip gun is actually a homemade gun, like a pistol. Like they take a block of wood and a pipe, and they tape it together with electrical tape and put a nail and a hammer, and there you go, man. You got yourself a gun, and that's a zip gun. So I don't know where I learned that, but that's the way I wrote it. But something's kind of frightening to me is I don't think I ever wrote it down. I just had it in my head, and we were on our way. I say we, the Crickets. I was back in the Crickets at the time. We were going to New York City to record, and this would have been 1959, July or August, somewhere in there. And we needed songs desperately for this new album, and Buddy was off on his own by this time, and I said, hey, listen to this song. I sang I Fought the Law, which I hadn't written down, but I remembered, luckily. And so that's kind of how I remember that coming about. Well, anytime you hear one of your songs sung on the radio, you turn it up and stop and listen, and if anybody else is in the car, you say, quiet down a little bit. I want to hear this. It's hard to describe how it feels to hear someone sing your song. It's just very rewarding and real nice. And as far as I Fought the Law, that song was kind of slow in developing, because we recorded it in ¡59. And the Crickets at that time, right after Buddy, he died right after we recorded that in that plane crash, and we were in a bit of disarray. And Joe B. and Jerry Allison and I, we went on the road playing as a backup band for the Everly Brothers for a while, and that was late '59. And we played here and there, and then we went to England, I know, in April of 1960, and I got drafted and had to go to the Army, and I left on June the 14th of 1960 for the Army, and I spent 2 years, like 17 months in France. Joe B moved to Wichita Falls, Texas, and got him he got into the trucking business, which I think he regrets. And J.I. moved back to Lubbock, I think, to save his marriage. It didn't work. And but I Fought the Law in the meantime was recorded by a guy I believe named Paul Steffen. And back in those days, this would have been about 1961 or 2, somewhere in there. Back in those days, they had a place in the Billboard called Bubbling Under. It was under the Hot 100. This never made it to the Hot 100, but it got to Bubbling Under. And then in '64, Bobby Fuller recorded it. And that was even kind of slow in developing, because it started, which is really good for BMI performances and all that, for the rider, which would be me. And but it started on the West Coast and started gradually worked its way east and started going up the charts, and it made it to the top 10, and then other people started picking up on it. Oh, it was a terrific version, man. What a good rock and roll, punk rock, if they want to call it that, whatever. Great record. Yeah, I loved it. Oddly enough, it is. He sort of, I guess they mostly call him a country singer, but but he just rocked the fire out of I Fought the Law. It's my favorite version, and got a real kind of a black girl group sound behind him, and he just sang it, and good record, man. I like their record okay. As I say, I kind of like everybody's record if it's my song. But they did I Fought the Law and I Won. If I'm not mistaken, I believe that's what they said, which is a bit of a different twist. But as a publisher friend of mine said one time, man, you can change anything about this song except the writer and the publisher. So my version here with my guitar, I Fought the Law is best with a good old honking rock and roll band behind it, and a good hard playing drummer, especially when it comes to those gunshots that J.I. put in there so cleverly in the Robbing People verse. But anyway, I hope you don't think this is too folky for you, but anyway, this is my solo rendition of I Fought the Law. Breaking rocks in the hot sun, I fought the law and the law won. I fought the law and the law won. I needed money and I had none. I fought the law and the law won. I fought the law and the law won.